Today I'm going to show you our little art museum activity that we are going to do. So you guys are going to get a sheet of paper with the basics of an art museum printed on it. And in this sheet of paper I drew 3 shapes, 2 on the sides of the main opening to the museum and 1 above the door to the museum. And in these shapes I want you to create little artworks that you might find in a museum. We want to draw our artworks with a pencil in case we make a mistake. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one right here, and you do not have to draw what I am drawing, but I am going to draw something called a still life. A still life is an arrangement of objects that do not move. So I'm going to draw a pot of flowers because when I've gone to the museum, that is something that I have seen on the walls. So I'm going to make a vase and put some flowers that are coming out of the vase. Now there's a lot of different styles that artists use to create their artworks. So some people make their art look really realistic, so it looks like real life. Some people like to make their art where it maybe doesn't look like real life, and they make really cool lines and patterns that maybe you wouldn't see in normal life. So I'm going to kind of do a little bit of both here. So my flowers look real, but I'm going to have fun in my background space and make some swirlies. And I drew a little tabletop for it to sit on. So there is my flowers. This is a still life. Now over here, I think I want to draw something called a seascape. So a seascape is a picture of the sea. So I have a little sailboat. It's floating on water. I'm going to put a little, maybe like a volcano in the background, a sun in the sky, and make some wave marks to show the movement. And there I have a seascape, picture of the sea. Over here I'm going to draw a portrait. A portrait is a picture of someone's face. Then I'm going to draw a little bit of a background behind. Alright, now after you draw your artworks that are in the museum, I want you to think about sculptures. Now sculptures are the items that you see maybe outside of the museum, or they'll be sitting in the middle of a room in the museum. Those are the things that are 3-dimensional that you can walk around, so they don't hang on the wall. So I am going to draw sculptures. Now because I have been to a lot of art museums in my life, I have a little bit more idea of what I want to do. You might not know what kind of sculpture to draw, so this might be a chance for you to use your creativity. So this sculpture is going to look like it's kind of coming out of the grass here. And then over here, I'm going to draw an abstract. When I say abstract, that means it's not very realistic. I'm going to draw an abstract sculpture of a person. And it's going to be sitting on a pedestal so it can stand up. Okay, so I drew everything with a pencil, so I have my art museum. Now if you want to just add pretty things in the sky, you can add pretty things in the sky. So if you want to add like a nice pretty sun, maybe it's a sunny day, or clouds, just like anything you would if you were drawing any old picture. You can add that just to make our art museum look a little more fun. We draw some little birdies, and I'm just going to make the simple little V birds. Like that. Alright, so now my drawing is full with pencil, and now I am going to use my colored pencils. Now if you don't want to use colored pencils, obviously you could use crayons. I would not use our big markers though. These markers might be a little too large, so I would stick with colored pencils, and if you wanted marker you could use your skinny markers, which are in your cubby. So I will leave that up to you. You're going to choose your media of choice. And I am going to get to work here coloring in everything. Now when I color, I am not going to rush through this. I'm going to treat each little thing that I drew as its own beautiful design. I want my art museum to look like an art museum. I want the artwork to be beautiful. When I color, I'm changing pressure, so I'm pressing very hard on my swirls, and then I'm going to color in the rest of it, pressing light. Okay, so here I've colored in many of the things in my image, and I just wanted to tell you what I'm using so far. So I use colored pencils for all the artworks. I use colored pencils for my sculpture here, the sun, and I even use colored pencil to make these little swirlies up there, the pediment, and here on the columns. Now I use crayon for the sky and I use crayon for the grass because those are really large areas and it's kind of hard. You can do it, but it's a little hard to use a colored pencil for really big areas. Colored pencil I like to use for tinier areas. So I just wanted to let you know that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to color in the rest of my art museum using crayon because this shape is kind of large as well. So I'm just going to give this a gray color. You can choose whatever colors you want to color in your art museum. If you want it to look more realistic, you can use gray and brown because usually art museums are made of bricks or stone. Some art museums have a lot of glass on them. Depends on the art museum, but you can choose. You can be creative here with your colors. Just make sure you're staying in your lines the best that you can and you're going slow, remembering good art takes time. So here is my image all complete, showing an art museum, showing different types of art, showing 2D art like paintings and 3D art like sculptures, and using a variety of different art media. I use crayons and colored pencils for mine. And there you go.